All right, welcome to our FYRE-UP weekly webinar sponsored by Newfields Ag, where we bring innovation to your fields. We encourage you to visit our full-service website at newfieldsag.com, where you will find a complete listing of Newfields Ag products, product descriptions and videos, use and application instructions, contact information from your local dealer, pricing, and much, much more. If you have a question during the presentation, please place your question in the chat box or simply raise your hand and we will get it asked. I am your host, Bob Kessler with Newfields Ag, and we are currently at in Louisville at the National Equipment Show. So we are hosting from the show that just started at 9 o'clock. Today's focus will be on the B4 products, B4 ST, as well as B4 foliar. So joining us to share his expertise this morning is Steve Visted with Dakota Bio. He will take over, share his slides, and share his expertise on their B4 product, which Newfields Ag carries in a Dust Plus product, a dry product, an ST product, as well as a liquid B4. So again, if you have questions, put them in the chat box. And it's all yours, Steve. Thanks for joining us, Steve.
Thank you very much, Bob. Appreciate the opportunity to visit with everybody this morning about B4. Before I get started, just want to thank all of you that have tried B4 products and Dakota Bio products, and thank Newfields Ag for the support and the partnership. Greatly appreciate working with Newfields Ag. So before I start sharing the slides, I'll just give a quick intro and a quick kickoff to the discussion here. But my name is Steve Visted. So I lead the sales team and marketing efforts for Dakota Bio, one of the co-founders. I'm not a microbiologist, but been in this industry for over 20 years and love it. It's truly a passion of mine, the microbiology and the biological space on how do we make a difference in our crops, and really diving into what the differences are and what all these biological products do and what problems they solve. That's really our passion at Dakota Bio. So today we're going to discuss B4. And please interrupt me, stop me, treat this like a conversation. You can ask questions anytime. So give me a second just to get my screen sharing here. Get the presentation going. Gotta switch sides and close this. Okay, so now I'm real close. Bear with me here. Gotta move this over here. Okay. Somebody confirm that you can see my screen.
Yes, Steve.
Okay, thank you very much, Dan. Okay, so we're going to start off with what is B4. So any product that has B4 in the name. So Dust Plus B4 from Newfields Ag, B4 ST, B4 LIF. Any product that has B4 in the name has these active ingredients in it. It's just formulated a little different for a different delivery method, for a different way of application. So Dust Plus B4, that's your dry product, your dust product with B4 built inside. B4 ST is a high concentration, low rate seed treatment to run through a seed treater. B4 LIF, that's a little bit lower concentration than the seed treatment, higher rate. So it's for liquid in furrow to go through that planter in the furrow with the seed when you plant it. But they all have these same organisms and all perform the same function in the soil to benefit your plant. So B4 is a blend of 4 different bacteria. It's the 4 listed here. They're the Brevibacillus laterosporus, the Bacillus licheniformis, the Bacillus amyloquafaciens, and the Bacillus pumilus. So they're all in the spore form. So when we ferment these bacteria, we put them in the spore form so they are dormant and they have a shield around their DNA. So they are extremely hardy, extremely durable. They are in it's not a true living state. They're in this dormant state with a shield. So you can mix them with seed treatments. You can mix them with many different chemicals, fungicides, insecticides, starter fertilizers. They're just extremely durable. As far as biological products go, these are some of the most durable and easy to use products in the industry. So what they do is when you put them on your seed and then plant that seed, they start to leave their dormancy state and come alive, and they grow and they reproduce and they just multiply because of the carbon in the soil. So that carbon in the soil wakes them up, they start to grow, and because they're contacting the seed, when the seed germinates, they then attach and grow to the root, because one of their favorite foods is an auxin secreted by all roots. So they grow on that root and coat the root of the plant. So in the picture here on the right side of the screen, we stained the B4 to show how they just keep growing and colonizing and multiplying, and they coat that root all season long, because their true function is to convert phosphorus and potassium and calcium and sulfur and iron and zinc that are in the soil in an unavailable form. They're producing these organic acids to biologically convert those nutrients to a usable form, because nutrients can be in a form in the soil to where they're not available to your plant. And the number one nutrient they affect is phosphorus. Number 2 nutrient they affect is potassium. The other nutrients here in that list, it's in a lesser amount. So you mainly think of this as a phosphorus efficiency product or a potassium efficiency product, but they're solubilizing and mineralizing these nutrients to make them available. So the beauty of this is they coat the root, and you think of the root as their carrier. What we're doing is we're treating the soil. We're just affecting the soil that touches your root. So when we solubilize phosphorus in the soil, it's the soil and it's the phosphorus that is touching the root. So when we can convert that phosphorus into a usable form, it's available to be taken up by the root at the root. So all soils tie up phosphorus. It's just a matter of how much unavailable phosphorus do you have. Some fields have very high levels, some fields have lower levels, but all soils have tied up phosphorus. So no matter where you use B4, no matter what your soil type is, you will have some increase in the availability of phosphorus. It's just a matter of how much. And then B4 products, whether it's the ST or the LIF or the dust plus B4, these organisms do have natural antifungal properties. B4 has not been through the EPA process, so we cannot say the F word. We didn't pay the millions and millions of dollars to have the right to use that word. And we're really not going that route, because then you have these $15 to $20 per acre products, and that's really not our goal. So there is benefits there, but mainly think of this as a phosphorus product and a potassium product. So why is it my screen changing? There we go. So as I said, all soils tie up phosphorus. It's just the different pHs out there, the different soils with different pHs determine how much phosphorus is tied up and how much you've been applying. And maybe you have a field that you need to line to increase the pH to make your nutrients more available. Maybe you have been applying manure for many years and there's a lot of phosphorus buildup in that soil. But whatever your situation is, whether you're applying phosphorus or you're applying lime or you're applying manure, most of your available nutrients are up in this top couple inches of soil. So when you use a B4 product and the B4 is growing on your roots and colonizing and coating those roots, in those situations of lime and manure and high applications of these fertilizers, sometimes you don't see the results in your field and in your crop until a little later in the season, like you start getting into late June, early July, because the plant grows and the roots get deeper. And when you use B4 and you're coating these roots, it really starts to make a difference when you get into the soil that has the unavailable phosphorus. So when we coat the roots, you get much deeper and more root growth and root mass because you have increased available nutrients. So as that crop grows all season long, the B4 grows with it and keeps coating those root hairs and coating the roots, contacting the soil, and converting the phosphorus to be in an available form in that root zone and feed your plant. So this here is a research farm where we had the side-by-side untreated versus treated, and these are 8 rows of corn right side by side, planted the same day, the same corn, the same starter, same everything. Just on the right, we put the B4 in the starter tank, and on the left, it didn't have the B4. And as you drive by this field in the pickup, you really don't see a difference. But you take a couple steps out in the field and you stand there and you take a picture, you can really then start to see the stalk diameter increases, the foliage, the bigger leaves, and it just really feeds that plant and makes more nutrients available to make a bigger, healthier, stronger, better fed plant. And we've actually done tests in this field for many years, and this field's averaging every time we use B4 and corn, it's in that 8 to 10 bushel range year in and year out. Beans in this field where it's always in that 4 to 5 bushel increase because it's a higher pH soil, lots of organic matter, so there's a lot of nutrients there, but they're just not all available. And that's what B4 is doing. It's biologically converting those nutrients to make them available to feed your crop. Here's another picture of the beans. You just keep seeing these beans and corn and wheat, and it works on all crops, works on all plants. We use this in the nursery and greenhouse industry. So, I mean, we've tested and used it on petunias and marigolds, roses, you name it, because all plants benefit from phosphorus. And we're just making that phosphorus available. Use the phosphorus that's in your soil to feed your plant. Here's another test strip we had. This was in northeastern South Dakota, and it really made a difference on this corn in the plant health and the stalk strength. So we had a severe thunderstorm come through. I believe it was in August sometime. I don't remember the exact date, but the untreated corn was blowing down and seeing green snap and falling over. The B4 in the background, it made the difference. It was to the row where the blow down corn stopped. The B4 corn stood through it. Now, it's probably 1 in a million picture opportunity here, but it tells the story that under the right conditions, it can plant health and nutrient availability can make all the difference. And so that corn, the treated corn stood. The untreated corn went down.
Okay, that sounds good.
So B4, as we said, we make B4 LIF for liquid and furrow. That comes in, that has a rate of 1 pint per acre. We package that in 2 by 2.5 gallon jugs. So B4 LIF treats 40 acres. Or we also package it in shuttle, 275 gallons. That treats 2,200 acres. You can tank mix this with starter fertilizers and be in the tank mix for 200 days. And it's a 2-year product. So if you don't get through all of it this year, you can use that leftover carryover product next year. Not a problem. B4ST is 1 ounce per 100 pounds of seed. So it's a nice low rate. You can mix it with your seed treatments. You don't need to have it in a separate tank. It's very, very easy to use. We package that in 2 different sizes also for packaging. So we have a 6 by 50 B4ST, treats 300 units of seed. So each little bottle treats 50 units. We also package in 2 by 2.5 gallon jugs. That treats 640 hundredweight or 1,280 50-pound units of seed. And you have a 200-day life on seed window. So you can start treating seed now and plant all the way through July or whatever that math comes out to. And that also has a 24-month package life. We also have a organic OMRI listed B4 LIF. That is slightly different than the B4 LIF. It's missing one of the organisms. We had to remove one organism to get that OMRI listing and OMRI certification, but it's an excellent, excellent product. Year in and year out, when we put the B4 LIF side by side with the B4 LIF organic, it's right there within the margin of error in performance. So as far as an organic product, if you need that certification, excellent, excellent product. But it does have a shorter shelf life. It does have a shorter tank mix time with starters and other products. So you have to be more cautious in your mixing and your handling of B4 LIF organic versus the standard B4 LIF. So we'll keep moving here. Any questions yet on how B4 works and the operational side, the rates and so forth? I'll keep moving. So I wanted to just take a couple minutes here to talk about these biological products and their label. And biological guys like myself, we tend to kind of geek out on concentrations and labels, and because let's be honest, we're not the only company in the industry that makes a bacillus product. And a lot of guys like me get in these petty little battles with our competitors saying, well, I got 10 to the 5 concentration, and oh, I got 10 to the 6, I got 10 to the 9. And let's be honest, as farm boys, we tend to gloss over those type of arguments and those conversations because I don't know about you guys, but I grew up in the middle of nowhere in North Dakota, and I haven't taken a math class on exponents since probably 8th grade. And we kind of forget what that means. And when you read a label and it says Bacillus licheniformis, 2 times 10 to the 4 or 5. Okay, it's there. But what does that mean? So I just want to take a minute to kind of teach you how to read these labels, because biological labels are a little bit different than a chemistry label. So we have a lot of competitors that make bacillus products, and they're at the 10 to the 5 concentration. What that means is, so it says 10 to the 5 CFU/ml. That means there's 10 to the 5 colony forming units per milliliter of product. That's 1 million. That's a lot. It really is. That is a lot. B4ST is at 10 to the 9 CFU per milliliter. That's 10 billion. That's 10,000 times more bacteria in every milliliter. So I can say that, but I just want to put a couple pictures to that 10,000 times more to help us visualize that, because that is what sets B4ST apart and B4LIF and dust plus B4 is the volume of these beneficial microorganisms there that are available to be on your root, growing on your plant, solubilizing phosphorus. So I'm going to put a couple pictures to it that we all can relate to. So if we think of that brand X, I won't put a name on it, but it's out there, it's common, as instead of thinking of 10 to the 5, think of that as 1 bushel of corn. Well, easy math. B4ST at 10,000 times more is 10,000 bushels of corn. Goes without saying, would you rather have 10,000 bushels of corn or would you rather have 1 bushel of corn? That's the difference when you purchase B4ST. Our other competitors, they're all about the same price. So do you want 10,000 bushels or 1 bushel? We'll do another one here. Think of that 10 to the 5, that competitor, as 1 semi-load of corn. 10,000 semi-loads equal 2,285 rail cars of corn. You are getting so much more beneficial bacteria in the Dakota Bio B4 products, in the Newfields Egg Dust Plus B4, that it's there to give you the performance in the field. It is there to perform that solubilization of phosphorus. That is what makes the B4 products so successful and available, the ability for you to see it in your field. This is an amazing product. So I'll do one last one. I use Grand Mound, Iowa as an example here. The population of Grand Mound, Iowa is 552 people. Why did I pick Grand Mound? Well, that's where Newfields Egg is from. That's where their headquarters is at. So if we take that times 10,000, that equals the population of Los Angeles and Houston combined. I'm not knocking Grand Mound here. I'd rather be in Grand Mound than LA for sure. But what I'm saying is there's massive differences. That's the power of exponents. That's what you get with a B4ST compared to some of our other products. It's all about putting the right biology in the right spot to bring your crop more phosphorus and potassium. Because if we can do that, our goal here, our mission in life is to raise your yields, make you money. And that's where we put a tremendous amount of research into B4. And I'll be honest with you, I get more calls from customers about this product than all our other products combined because people see it. And I don't care if you're in Champaign County, Illinois, and growing 260 bushel corn, or you're in, Badlands of South Dakota on the edge of the Badlands and you're growing 90 bushel corn. We get phone calls and people see differences. And this works over the widest range of soil types and conditions of any biological that I've seen in the industry. It's a fantastic product. I just can't compliment this product enough. So we do all of our research data, and yield data has come from independently managed research farms across the Midwest. We test from North Dakota to Kansas to Ohio, and that's where our data comes from, these independent research farms. So after 5 years of testing on corn, 84% win rate on corn, averaging 5.4 bushel per acre for a 3.7 bushel yield increase average over 5 years. That's year in and year out under a wide range of conditions, wide range of soil types, climates, you name it, corn hybrids. That's a pretty consistent, high performing product because all soils tie up phosphorus. And this grows on the root, contacts the soil, converts the phosphorus to feed that plant. And soybeans, it even does better on soybeans than it does corn in the statistics, because soybeans need very, very high levels of phosphorus to produce beans. 88% win rate, averaging 4 bushel per acre increase for a 5% yield increase across 5 years from North Dakota to Kansas to Ohio. And then when we test on all the other crops, like in the greenhouse and the flowers and the ornamentals and all that, B4 has an 87% win rate across all plants that we've tested. So I see a question popping up. Oh, I lost it. It disappeared. Let me see if I can see that again here. Get the chat. Can B4 LIF be safely tank mixed with DB25 and or Phenom? Any extra value to adding one or both to the tank mix? Great question. So Frenzy, yeah, you asked about DB20. So DB25 is started this year as being called Frenzy. So that is DB25 Frenzy, just name change because of trademark approval, or Phenom. Those are both Dakota Bio products, fantastic products. So yes, you can tank mix. Phenom is the more fragile of those products listed, so you need to follow the Phenom guidelines for tank mixing. So I'd have to check the compatibility chart, but I believe it's 15 days tank mixing Phenom with other products. So you would want to follow that to protect your Phenom. And there is a lot of value. We have a tremendous amount of our customers that use all three of those products because they all do very different things in different places of the plant. So you're not doubling up on anything. You think of B4, so I think of it as solving problems. If you have phosphorus tie up in your soil, if you're taking soil samples and you got high levels of phosphorus in a soil sample, use B4. It works. It's about getting that phosphorus out of the soil that's touching your roots to feed your plant. You use Phenom because Phenom grows inside the plant. And as that plant breathes, it's converting atmospheric nitrogen into usable form inside the plant. So if you need more nitrogen, use Phenom. Frenzy is all about, that also grows inside or affects the inside of the plant. So Frenzy's not a living biological. It is a metabolite that increases the number of mitochondria in the plant and increases the efficiency of that plant. So I'll save you all the scientific mumbo jumbo here, but it causes that plant to withstand stress. And when stress comes, it causes that plant to recover from stress. So all three products do very different things in very different places in the plant. So if you need more phosphorus, use B4. If you need more nitrogen, use Phenom. If you need protection from stress, use Frenzy. And they're all just different and separate. And yes, you can stack them and use them all and see stackable increases and improvements. Next question. What does tied up fertility look like on a soil test? Great question. So depending on your soil test, you may not be able to see that. Not all soil tests tell you available phosphorus versus unavailable phosphorus. Now I'm not a soil test expert, so Jared, I think you're a much better soil science person than I am. But to my knowledge, I know that the Haney test tells you what different forms of phosphorus are in your soil. So you can read that Haney soil test, and then know how much unavailable phosphorus and available phosphorus is in your soil. So we use Continuum Ag for our source on Haney soil tests. What would you want to anticipate to see a larger response to B4? So we see larger responses of B4 in lower soil pH and higher soil pH. So the optimum pH for phosphorus availability is a 6.3, but 6.3 still ties up phosphorus. So it's about, I don't know the exact number because it varies, but you're at about 15% of your applied phosphorus is tied up in a 6.3 pH. As you go to 6.4 or 6.2 or 6.5, 6.1, as you go out from 6.3, your tie-up skyrockets. So you can get down in those 5 pHs and 7 pHs, and you're tying up like 60, 70, 75% of your phosphorus. So those pHs that are 6 and lower and 6.5, 6.6 and higher, very big response to B4. The other situation is your fields that have received manure for a long period of time. That is tremendous. And I don't care if it's cattle or chicken litter or turkey or whatever. When you've been applying those higher levels of manure, that's where you see a very, very large benefit. When we go into those optimum soil conditions, that 6.2, 6.3, that really, really, really good ground, that's where we see the lower yield bumps. Lots of 2s and 3s and 4s. And that really, really good optimum conditions where B4 does the lowest amount of difference. That's your taking a 250 bushel corn to a 252, 253. It works, but it's really hard to notice. That's where you got to be out there really, really scrutinizing your yield data to see it. It's when you get in that 6 and lower pH and 6.5, 6.6 and higher, that's where it's like, wow, I can see it to the row in my test strip, you know. So great questions. Another question, how long does B4 live in the soil over winter? Well, that good question. There is a lot of variability in that question. These, first off, these, you got to think of these organisms. When we ferment and grow these in a very, very state-of-the-art facility. We grow these products, these organisms for this product in the world leader of probiotic fermentation. So this is a facility that is producing organisms for human supplements and yogurt, probiotics, those type of things. So this is a facility where 1 billion people a day consume products from this facility. So it is state of the art, top notch. You will not find higher quality production. So what you get from that is these extremely healthy, extremely pure organisms that grow in a perfect environment, because you can't find a better production facility than where B4 is produced. And we're proud of that. But what you get is, you get like an extreme athlete. Think of it like this summer when we're watching the Olympics and you see the 100-meter dash. Those people are extreme athletes. You can just see it. Don't ask that 100-meter dash gold medal winner to go run the marathon. You can't do it. He'd take last place. So when we put B4 on our crop and it's growing on the root of that corn or bean or wheat or cotton, or I don't care what plant, it is, everything's right for it. Everything's perfect. Now you get into that plant dies because your crop ripens and you harvest it and the plant's dead. Then you have the wide range of winter conditions like our farm where I grew up in North Dakota, and we get frost 3 feet deep. Maybe not this winter, but or maybe you're from southern Missouri, Boot Heel, Missouri. I don't know. It's so different. So you tend to do not see good overwintering of these biological products. So I know it's kind of a long-winded, analogy here, but I would not count on it. And then you got next year, you need enough of it to contact the root and colonize the root to make a difference. I doubt it. Is there a possible situation where you may see a little tiny benefit the next year because some of it overwintered and survived, and then you put your seed in the exact right spot to contact that bacteria? It's not like they got legs, it's not a gopher that tunnels through the soil and goes and finds your root. They got a contact. So I would say do not ever count on getting multiple years of benefit out of a biological. It'd be one in billions of chances. So good question though. Another question here. Great product with awesome consistency. What kind of tissue testing results have you seen with B4 versus untreated? Yes, some of our research farms, not all, do tissue testing, and a lot of our dealers do tissue testing. So yes, we see, and I didn't load any of those results into this presentation, so I apologize for that. But yeah, we see year in and year out tissue samples coming back with increased nutrient content in the tissue samples. We also do sap analysis to measure the performance of all of our products, not just B4. So I can't cite you exact data points from the tissue sample, and I don't have all that memorized. But yeah, we check our products with soil samples, tissue samples, sap analysis, and then, of course, yield data, measuring of the yield. Other questions? So that was my last slide. Just wanted to say that Dust Plus B4, B4ST, B4LIF, B4LIF organic, fantastic products to get more phosphorus. But the rest of our products are amazing too. DB32 is corn residue management. Phenom is a nitrogen fixer, so you can put that on foliar or in furrow or ST to fix more nitrogen to feed corn and all plants. Frenzy, as we talked a little bit earlier, outstanding. Frenzy has the highest success rate and win rate of all our products. It's just a newer product, so B4 is my favorite product. Frenzy has the chance to become my favorite product. It really is shaping up to be one of the best products ever. DB29, that's a like a biostimulant. It's a biological feed to promote soil biology. And then we make a full line of legume inoculants, soy 30 for soybean inoculant, chickpea, PVL, extenders. So anything you are looking at, we probably have a product that helps you out, and they're all available through Newfield's Ag. What did I miss, Bob?
No, you did a nice job. I just wanted to say that, we've got all these products available, anywhere from, $3.50 an acre, to, $7 an acre. We also have B4 in an organic form. So, for the organic farmers. And so, yeah, we do have the product available to be delivered so that you can get going. I noticed over the weekend that in Wisconsin, the alfalfa is actually coming out of dormancy. And I don't know if that says anything about when our spring is going to show up, but Puxatani said that spring is going to be here sooner than we normally have it. So, make your plans accordingly, I guess. When the alfalfa is coming out of dormancy, that kind of tells you something right there about what nature is telling us our spring is gonna be. So
that's a good point, Bob. I'm gonna jump in here quick because spring's coming. You really need to be thinking right now about getting your order into Newfields Ag to get it shipped, get it delivered. I mean, look at B4ST. We have customers treating corn in October, and in November. So I'm not suggesting go fire up your seed treater, but get your product delivered, get it going. Don't call on May 2nd and expect somebody to be able to get it to you May 3rd. Plan ahead, because I don't care what you're planting on your farm, that crop needs phosphorus.
Yeah, and the other thing is, if you want to place an order, but your cash flow is hurting right now a little bit simply because you're holding on to some grain, maybe hoping for some higher grain prices. We are still offering 0% financing for growers, for farmers, through the middle of February. So until the 15th of February, or I'm sorry, March, the 15th of March, so that we can help bridge your cash flow so that you can put an order in, pay it with the 0% financing, and use what money you have right now on some of your other needs, fuel, things like that. And you don't have to pay the 0%, whatever you put on it, until December of this year. So that's another tool in our toolbox that you can utilize. Let us use our money for free until December of 24. Any other questions for Steve?
I think that's a great point, Bob. I mean, I hate paying interest, but I do. The thing is too, as us as a production, a producer of these biologicals, we do not produce just endless supplies. These are perishable products. I mean, B4 has a 2-year shelf life, so that's great. A lot of our products do not. They're 10, 12-month products, in our product lineup. So we treat this stuff with the utmost care. This is our pride and joy. So bringing you fresh products is paramount to us. And so we don't produce endless supplies and just let it sit in a warehouse for years. We will run out. So if you can get zero interest and get fresh product and get a high performing product, you need to order it and get it coming, because we're not going to be sitting here on a warehouse full of B4 in May. No way. We're probably going to be sold out sometime in April,
Yeah, Steve, the other thing, I apologize if I missed it, but you and I had talked a couple of days ago about, I was sitting in we had a seminar in Kansas City at Top Producers. The seminar was called Black Swan, and it talked about the fertilizer supply for this year, and how a lot of they're predicting there could be some shortages in some of the fertilizer, and one of those is in phosphorus. And so that's why I said this B4 presentation was so relevant to that, because there is a lot of phosphorus in our soils right now. We just have to make it available. And the B4 does that. That checks that check mark.
Yeah, because and here's the thing: B4 is not an expensive product by any means. It is absolutely the way to use the phosphorus you have. And I can't tell you how much you have. You got to go do that soil sample and do that Haney soil test. There are soils that don't need phosphorus applied. There are soils that could handle applying less and using a B4 product. And it's really the only product I've found in the industry where you're treating the soil, but you're using, and you don't have to broadcast it. You're not broadcasting B4 as a foliar. You're using the root as the plant as the carrier. So we're really only treating the soil that's touching your root. We don't care about the soil that's in the middle of the row that doesn't touch your root. That's not the soil that's benefiting your crop. So that's what makes B4 so unique and so effective. That's why we get more phone calls of people that can see it and get excited about B4. But good point on the zero interest in getting the order in. That's a good point.
Yeah, I don't. Do you see any other questions in the chat box? I don't see any others.
I don't either. I don't either. So I want to finish with how I started. Of thank you all, and thank you to Newfields Ag. I really appreciate working with all of you and appreciate the support and I tell you what, if you're curious, give it a try. Go try 80 or 100 acres on your farm and put it in a couple different spots and see what it does for you. That's the only way you're really truly going to know what this product will do on your soil.
Well, thanks, Steve. Again, we encourage you to visit our website, newfieldsag.com. Again, complete production or product information, find your local dealer, et cetera, et cetera. Thank you for joining us today. As always, we hope to see you here next week. And we remind you and we encourage you to farm with innovation, farm the future, farm with Newfields Ag. Be safe and have a great rest of your week. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.